You open a fresh browser, new install, no history, cookies empty, a different IP in a different city. You make a brand new account with an email the site has never seen, and somewhere in the first second of the page loading, a system on the other end looks at you and thinks, there you are again. Nothing you changed mattered. The address was new, the account was new, the cookie jar was clean, the device was the same, and the device is what it remembers. We have spent this whole season circling one quiet thing: the IP that got caught, the cookies that survived deletion, the accounts that linked back to one person, the bands that landed in waves. Under all of it, there was a single thread. And this is the episode about the thread. The name for it is device fingerprinting. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it in everything that came before. What a fingerprint actually is. A device fingerprint is not one secret value stored somewhere you could find and delete. It is a portrait assembled from things your device gives away just by being itself. The browser asks your machine a few dozen ordinary questions, and the answers, taken together, describe you closely enough to recognize you later. None of those answers is private on its own. Plenty of people run the same browser on the same kind of laptop. The trick is that the system does not need any single answer to be unique. It needs the combination to be rare, and combinations get rare very fast. The questions your device answers. Start with the obvious ones: your screen resolution and the exact pixel density, your operating system and its version, your browser and its build number, your language and your time zone, your device memory and how many processor cores it reports, the battery, the touch support, the way the window is sized. Then it gets stranger. The browser can ask your graphics chip to draw a hidden image and hash the result, and the tiny differences in how your particular hardware renders it come back as a stable number. It can ask your audio stack to process a silent tone and measure the rounding errors, and those are stable too. It can list the fonts you have installed, which quietly encodes the software you use and the kind of person you are. Each of these is innocent. Canvas rendering is just a browser drawing. The audio test is just math. The font list is just a list. But the system is not interested in any one of them. It is interested in what happens when you stack them. And here's the part that makes it powerful. Most of these answers are not chosen by you. You did not pick how your graphics chip rounds a color, or the exact set of audio drivers your laptop shipped with, or the precise list of fonts and operating system installed years ago. They are accidents of the machine you happen to own. You cannot choose to hand over a different answer because you never chose this one. The portrait is built from the parts of your device you have the least control over, which is exactly what makes it stick. Amindi then fair porfan ausempon forge the chance. At the start, everyone is in the room, and you are nobody in particular. Then someone asks for everyone on a certain operating system to stay, and half the room leaves, then a specific screen size, and most of the rest go. Then a time zone, then a set of fonts, then the exact way one graphics chip draws a curve. Each question is a filter, and each filter throws away the people who do not match you. This is the idea engineers call entropy. Every detail you reveal carries a number of bits, and every bit roughly halves the crowd. You do not need many bits before the crowd that matches you is one person, and that one person is you, standing alone in an empty room, wondering how they were found. The unsettling thing about entropy is how cheap it is to spend. You do not feel yourself answering. There is no form, no prompt, no moment where you agree to give anything up. The questions are asked and answered in the time it takes a page to paint, silently, before you have read a single word on the screen. By the time the page looks finished, the room has already emptied around you, and you were never told it happened. A cookie was a note the site left on your device. You could open the drawer and throw the note away. That was the whole point of it, and it is why clearing cookies ever felt like it did something. The note lived on your machine, so you had power over it. A fingerprint is not a note. It is the shape of the machine itself. There is no drawer to open, no file to delete, no setting that wipes it, because it was never written down on your side in the first place. It is recomputed from scratch every time you load a page. You cannot clear what you cannot reach, and you can never reach the fact that your graphics chip draws the way it draws. The fingerprint that drifts but survives. People sometimes hope the fingerprint breaks the moment anything changes. It does not work that way. When you update your browser or install a font or resize a window, a few of the answers shift and the portrait drifts a little. But most of the picture holds, and the systems that read it expect drift, so they do not demand a perfect match. They match on most of the picture and tolerate the rest, and they quietly update their record to your new version. You look enough like yesterday to be tied to yesterday, and tomorrow you will look enough like today. The thread is continuous even as the details move, which is exactly why a fingerprint can follow you for months while you assume each fresh start was a clean one. Tying your phone to your laptop. Now widen it past one device. You have a phone, a laptop, maybe a tablet and a TV that streams. Each of those has its own fingerprint, different from the others, and you might think that keeps them separate. It does the opposite of what you would hope. The systems do not need the fingerprints to match. They need the behavior around them to overlap. The same home network, the same logins surfacing on each, the same daily rhythm of when each device wakes, the same accounts touched in the same order. Cross-device linking takes those overlaps and decides that these separate fingerprints belong to one person. Your phone, your laptop, and your TV stop being strangers and become three views of you. Cross-site, all the way down, inside a single device it goes further still. A fingerprint computed on one side looks a lot like the fingerprint computed on another, because it comes from the same hardware, answering the same questions. That means a measurement taken on one side can be recognized on a completely unrelated one. This is cross-site linking, and it is how a profile of you gets assembled out of places that never directly shared anything with each other. You were never logged in across those sites, you never connected them, but the device answered the same way in each place, and a system that reads fingerprints can quietly stitch your separate visits into one trail. The sites did not need to know each other, they only needed to read the same machine. Where it is actually used for, it is worth being clear about why anyone bothers, because the answer is not always sinister. A lot of fingerprinting was built to defend. A bank reads your device so that a login from your usual machine sails through, and a login from a stranger's gets challenged. A store reads it to tell one shopper from 1,000 bots draining its stock. Fraud teams lean on it because a stolen password is easy to type, and a stolen device is hard to fake. The same measurement that protects an account can also profile a person. And that is the tension under all of it. The bank and the advertiser ask the device the same questions. One wants to keep you safe, and one wants to follow you, and the device cannot tell the difference, so it answers both exactly the same way. A tool this good at recognizing you does not get to only be used by the people you would choose. The defense is, honestly, so people fight back, and some of it genuinely helps. The strongest idea is to stop standing out. Anti-fingerprinting browsers try to make every user look identical, handing back the same generic answers to every question so the crowd never shrinks below the whole crowd. If 1 million people return the exact same Canvas result and the same font list, then the Canvas result tells the system nothing. Another approach goes the other way and adds noise. Instead of making everyone the same, it makes you different every time. Randomizing the Canvas hash or the audio result on each visit so there is no stable value to match against. Both ideas attack the same weakness, the uniqueness a fingerprint depends on from opposite directions. There are smaller moves too, and they help at the edges, closing the gaps that leak the most bits, refusing to report the rarest details, keeping the browser as ordinary as possible so it blends into the largest possible crowd. None of these is a switch you flip once. They are a posture you hold, a set of choices about how much you are willing to give up to look like everyone else, And the honest version is that most people will not hold that posture every day, which the systems quietly count on. Where the defenses run out, it is only fair to be honest about the limits, because nobody gets to promise you a clean off switch. Making everyone look identical only works if the crowd you blend into is large and consistent. Step outside it, install one unusual font, run an odd screen size, and you become the rare exception, which is its own loud signal. Being the only person who looks perfectly average can be as identifying as looking unique. Randomization has a matching problem. Noise that changes every single visit can itself be detected as noise, and a system that knows it is being lied to can sometimes see through to the stable parts underneath. There is also a real cost. The harder a browser fights fingerprinting, the more it tends to break, and the more friction you carry through an ordinary day. These are trade-offs, not victories, and anyone selling you undetectable or foolproof is selling you the one thing the math does not allow. The thread, named at last, go back to where this season started. You spent real money on a perfect proxy, a residential IP in exactly the right city, a genuine home connection, clean history, nothing on any block list. You routed your traffic through it, and the site still decided, within a second, that you were not who you claimed to be. You thought the IP was the thing being watched because the IP was the thing you could buy and change. But the IP was only the address on the envelope. The fingerprint was the handwriting, and it was the same in every letter you ever sent. All season the question kept being, how did they know? And the answer kept being the same quiet answer. The network was never really watching you. The device was. It has been there, the whole way down, under every episode, the thing that followed you across every fresh start you thought was clean. Look back across the season with that in your hand, and the pattern is everywhere. The cookies that survived deletion survived because the device underneath them never changed. The anonymous accounts linked back to one person because one machine kept answering the same way. The bans that landed in waves caught devices, not addresses. Every door we opened led to the same room, and in that room was a device quietly giving itself away, over and over, to anyone who knew the questions to ask. If pulling the modern internet apart like this, the quiet machinery under the things we all click without thinking, is your kind of thing, then you are exactly where you should be. There are no products here and there never were, just the systems explained by someone who has spent a long time inside them. Thank you for following the whole way down this season, every thread, every fresh start, every part where the answer was not what it looked like. Subscribe and follow the rabbit hole. This is the end of the season, not the end of the digging. The threads do not stop here, they just go deeper, and there are always more rooms under the ones we have already opened. The channel keeps pulling these threads, keeps walking into the quiet rooms, and keeps coming back to tell you what is actually in them. Stay with it. The way down is longer than it looks, and we are nowhere near the bottom.